Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. According to a source from inside the CCP, Xi Jinping has personally ordered the cover-up of the current wave of the epidemic in China. This is because it could shatter the friendly international image he is trying to create. Meanwhile, the epidemic continues to intensify across China with no signs of slowing down. First, let's update on the latest situation. Based on videos, photos, and social media posts coming from various parts of China, it appears that the epidemic, which started in the northeast, has now spread to cities in the south, such as Shenzhen and Guangdong and Dongguan. The cities where this wave of the epidemic first appeared are still severely affected.
各大医院已经彻底沦陷。
This is the situation in Shenyang. In the past few days, I have posted many videos and pictures on the X platform.
赶时髦生二胎三胎的，家里有几个娃倒几个娃，形势非常严峻，还没被传染的娃，别差那几天学，能请假避难赶紧请假，有些医院要都打空了。
So these are the videos I shared on the X platform or Twitter. So if you haven't seen them yet, you can check them out. I won't repeat them here. And so this time I'll just show a few photos that I haven't posted yet. These are the photos from the Children's Hospital in Xi'an City, the capital of Shanxi Province in central China. In the hospital lobby, the queue is as long as 150 meters. It is unclear which hospital this is, but the person who posted this said that he or she is the only one in the family who has not fallen ill yet. This is a primary school in Shanghai. It's evident that more than half of the students are sick and haven't come to class. This is a suspension notice from the number 2 Wanjiang Primary School in Dongguan City, Guangdong Province. The notice states that due to 1/3 of the students in the first grade class 2 suffering from flu and fever, the school will be closed for 4 days as per the requests and recommendations of the CDC. The notice was issued on November 24th. These are the suspension notice of schools in Suzhou, Beijing, and Tianjin. The person who posted it is worried that schools in Shandong province might also close. Due to the large number of patients, some hospitals have restarted the so-called Fangchang hospitals or makeshift hospitals initially set up during the early stages of the pandemic to serve as venues for children's IV treatment. From the cases reported, adults are also falling ill. Children are not only exhibiting the so-called white lung phenomena, where both sides of the lungs show over 75% lesion, but there have also been deaths. This post mentions that the author's daughter died on November 14th, and another reply states that a primary school child in their area also passed away. The child was in school the day before, was sent home due to discomfort, and upon examination was found to have white lung and died the next day. Another reply mentions a girl in her son's class who had pneumonia and was in constant fevers for a month. and passed away yesterday. Well, that's some updates of the latest situation. Now, let's discuss a few important pieces of related news and my analysis and thoughts on the potential causes behind this wave of the epidemic. Firstly, according to the exclusive information from the Chinese version of the Epoch Times, in response to the new wave of undiagnosed pneumonia, Xi Jinping has ordered not to report much about the epidemic and not to accept interviews from foreign media to avoid undermining the successful visit to the United States he just had. Also, as China has recently opened visa-free entry for several countries, a large-scale epidemic would deter foreigners from visiting. A source close to the CCP's central office and the military in Beijing said that domestic media in China are not allowed to focus on reporting the epidemic. Some experts are required to emphasize that this is the combined effect of multiple viruses, but not a variant of COVID. Therefore, Chinese media are only publishing articles on how to prevent the flu and other such preventive knowledge without making the epidemic outbreak a news story. The source also mentioned that the authorities are particularly nervous about this wave of the epidemic because it coincides with the one-year anniversary of the Blank Paper movement. Beijing police have been especially busy this week, warning everyone who participated in the movement last year. At the end of last November, the White Paper or Blank Paper or A4 movement, which protested against strict lockdown measures, erupted across China. Protesters expressed their demands by holding up a blank sheet of paper. Shortly after this movement, China ended its 3-year lockdown, marking a rare case of successful public protests. It's now the first anniversary of the White Paper movement. That's why the CCP is especially nervous. The second piece of news, on November 24th, China's State Council issued a notice titled on effectively conducting COVID-19 and other key infectious diseases prevention and control work in winter and spring. The notice mentioned, quote, since October 2023, activities of influenza and Mycoplasma pneumonia infections in our country have gradually increased. It is predicted that influenza will reach a national epidemic peak in the winter and spring. This winter and next spring, our country may face a situation where multiple respiratory diseases such as COVID-19, influenza, and Mycoplasma pneumonia infection overlap, unquote. The notice also outlined 6 key measures, including implementing port epidemic prevention and control, conducting dynamic epidemic monitoring and early warning, etc. Please note that in this notice, COVID-19 still ranks first. The third piece of news. On November 27th, WHO officials, based on information provided by the CCP, claimed that the recent surge in cases is not as high as before the COVID-19 pandemic and that no new or unusual pathogens have been found. However, experts argue that since the CCP has not published any data on how many children are infected, hospitalized, severely ill, or dead, how can it be determined whether this epidemic is more or less severe than before the pandemic? WHO's statement might be aiding the CCP in deceiving the international community, which could have very serious consequences. The fourth news item is that the CCP is again waging an information war, spreading rumors that the US is once again trying to poison China. Let's look at a video.
竟然再一次向我们投毒了。近日首都机场的海关在进口快件当中查获了一批瞒报的生物制品，这里边是一批引发呼吸道传染疾病的细菌和毒素，包括白喉毒素、百日咳毒素等生物制品，整整125瓶。那么两者的危害到底有多大呢？我们先来说说这个白喉病毒。白喉对人类的威胁是巨大的，是人类历史上最致命的传染病之一。那么这一批瞒报的生物制剂，如果是生物实验室使用的话，他们完全可以通过正常的渠道进行投递，可是他们没有通过正规渠道，却是从国外邮寄过来的，而且还采取了瞒报的方式，确实让人细思极恐大家发现没有，这两种病毒和新冠病毒是比较类似的，一旦真的在我们国内流行起来，大家可能会按照新冠的方式来治疗，或者同时感染两种病毒，病情加重之后后果不堪设想。这真的是帝国主义亡我之心不死
Well, the main point of this video is that just like during the last outbreak, the US is trying to poison China again. The US imperialist forces never stop seeking our downfall. Interestingly, a number of videos made by different creators have suddenly appeared on Chinese social media with almost identical text content, just spoken by different people, edited with different footage. Sorry.
丧尽天良近日，北京机场海关查获了一批125瓶瞒报进口的生物制品，这里面是一批。
This version says almost exactly the same thing as the previous one. To save time, I won't show it all.
丧尽天良。据悉，北京机场海关近日查获了一批125瓶瞒报进口的生物制品，里面竟然是一批引发严重呼吸传染病的细菌毒素，其中包括白喉毒素和白百科毒素。
Well, this is another version with the same text content, just edited with stock footage.
症状为咳嗽、发烧、说话声音嘶哑等，严重者可导致心肌炎与神经末梢麻痹。历史上，这种病毒曾在西班牙、美国以及欧洲
Again, I will not play it all.
地方病死率。
And this is Yang Zeng, a seasoned TV host who also speaks the same content. There are many more similar videos once again showing the CCP's method of waging information warfare, releasing content that appears to be made by different social media channels to spread misinformation without the officials having to take responsibility. But if this wasn't coordinated by the authorities, why would these people say exactly the same thing? It can be said that the CCP has now perfected the art of using social media and short video platforms like TikTok to wage information warfare. This is something that the international community must be vigilant about. Now, let's discuss some of my analysis and opinions regarding the underlying reasons for this wave of the epidemic. First, let's take a look at a medical examination report. This is someone's immune test report at the 961 Hospital of the Joint Logistic Support Force of the People's Liberation Army of China. 8 different pathogen antibodies were tested in total, with 5 being positive and 3 negative. Sorry. Please check the text explanation I posted on the X platform. I won't go into details here about which ones are positive and which ones are negative. What I wanted what I want to point out is why did they conduct 8 different tests for this individual, yet deliberately exclude a COVID test, especially when COVID hasn't really ended yet? So in my view, this aligns with the earlier mentioned news about Xi Jinping ordering the cover-up of the epidemic. This is a post on November 12th on the Chinese social media platform Weibo by someone who obviously has a medical background. It says, quote, "The most worrying incidents are occurring among young children. Currently, in pediatric treatment, cases of juvenile HIV/AIDS have been discovered where neither the mother or father are infected. Another situation includes negative tests for influenza and mycoplasma, yet the child continues to have high fevers above 39 degrees Celsius for extended periods. As I've mentioned in articles before, the lifting of the COVID control measures, the first scenario is a sign of an emerging AIDS wave. The second scenario could be the result of common harmless virus rebelling due to severe erosion of the immune system. Another possibility is a cytokine storm induced by COVID-19, a desperate measure by the immune system when it's powerless against the viral rebellion. I only hope that the scenarios I predicted, such as cancer, leukemia, and life-threatening high fevers caused by cytokine storms will not continue to occur. I'm deeply concerned about the current situation but feel powerless to change anything. I wish all readers and their families health and well-being." Unquote. Now let's look at this news. On November 24th, the Zhejiang Provincial Pediatric Tuberculosis and AIDS Clinic Diagnosis and Treatment Center was established at the Children's Hospital affiliated with Zhejiang University School of Medicine. This picture is from the inauguration ceremony of the center. Official reports state that this is the first center in East China focusing on the diagnosis and treatment of pediatric tuberculosis and AIDS, and it will accept patients with this disease from Zhejiang Province, the East China region, and even the whole country. What draws attention is that Dr. Zhang Wenhong, director of Chinese National Center for Infectious Diseases Shanghai and leader of the Shanghai COVID-19 Medical Treatment Expert Group, who became very well known during the 3-year COVID pandemic, also attended the inauguration. Putting these 2 pieces of information together, it is worrisome to think how many children in China are suffering from AIDS to the extent that they need to establish a specialized treatment center. Additionally, among this wave of children diagnosed with respiratory infections and persistent fever, could some actually be suffering from AIDS? Now, let's consider this message. This news was released on January 26, 2022 by the official website of the Beijing Economic Technological Development Area. It says that the first dose vaccination rate for the 3 to 17 age group in the Beijing Economic Technological Development Area has reached an astonishing 105%. These are the accompanying images from that report showing the vaccination of children. Therefore, after considering various pieces of information, I believe that there are 2 major possibilities for this epidemic. One is the emergence of a new COVID variant or a completely new virus. If that is the case, then this new variant or virus could potentially spread to other countries, and the international community needs to be cautious. Taiwan has already warned its citizens to avoid traveling to China unless necessary to prevent infection. Another piece of news is that mysterious pneumonia cases in Europe has increased by 25%, and officials have not been able to determine what is causing illnesses in the Netherlands. This news was just released today. Of course, we currently do not know if this increase is related to the epidemic unfolding in China, so this needs further observation. The other possibility is that due to the quality of China's vaccines or the kind of China's vaccines, which are inactivated ones, and given the fact that the vaccination rate is very high, children who received these vaccines are experiencing a significant decrease in immune capability, leading to this wave of epidemic. Additionally, New Tang Dynasty Television interviewed mainland Chinese residents. A university teacher revealed that the COVID has never disappeared over the past 3 years. Last month, 3 of her male colleagues successfully passed away after falling into coma. So I think the CCP's current attempts to conceal the true nature of the epidemic are out of necessity. If they admit it's COVID, does that mean they will reimpose lockdowns? Given China's current economic situation, the country absolutely cannot afford another round of lockdowns. But if they don't impose lockdowns, how will they explain the extreme measures taken since 2020 to the public? Therefore, under these circumstances, not mentioning COVID is the best option for Xi Jinping, who is extremely concerned about maintaining faith. Well, that's all for today. Please like, share, and comment on my videos. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel or check If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel or check if you are still subscribed, as YouTube keeps unsubscribing people for me. Also, please visit my website at jenniferzengblog.com for membership or donations to support my efforts. In these rapidly changing times, I believe independent voices like mine are very important. Thank you. See you next time.